professor or to the supervisor. And I'd done all the chapters, chapter 1, 2, and 3. When I submitted to him, he said, Mr. Owoko, it is not done like this. You don't do everything. First of all, go and do chapter 1. And then we discuss. Then we go chapter 2. So I ended up, that initial submission ended up being a work that was not counted. I went back with the entire document and split it into chapter 1. When I took it to him, there's something called COVID. Ikakuja. COVID came, and when we now came back, he didn't know where he had placed the document. Yeye ni kama alifungiwa Kericho na mimi nikafungiwa Nairobi, and we never met for almost a year. That is now the issues that came up. Now my daughter graduated after a 4-year course, and I think she has been out for the last 2 years, 3 years. That is how long it has taken. Saa zingine unamaliza now, like you're finished, and you feel like sasa now imebaki tu supervisor kuweka ka kidole, na wakati unampigia simu hasiki, ukimtumia SMS hajibu, ukimtumia email haangalii, nothing happens. So you are like, what is going on? Now it can take another 3 months. Now the last part was when I finished and had done what my daughter was saying. I'd done, picked the data, analyzed, and finished the first draft. Nikapeleka. My supervisor kaangalia akasema sawa, we are ready for examination. Enda uandike, come and submit. Wakati nilienda naye nikaambiwa, Mr. Owoko, you should have given us a notice of intention to submit. You should have given us that notice. Sasa hiyo notice inatakana iweke ichukue miezi mitatu. So the document was ready, and I stayed with it, waiting for the notice, the period of the notice to expire. And it did take 3 months, it took 4 months. Then they told me, now you can bring the document for marking. Nikapeleka for marking, which was in May last year. In May last year, documents were marked by 3 examiners, 2 internal examiners, 1 external examiner. And all their reports must be back. Ndio uende kwa defense. So out of this, 2 of them submitted their marks in July last year. The third one submitted her report or his report in March this year. That is the journey of a PhD. But let me start from the beginning. How did I get to school? There was an Anglican church in our village that had started a nursery school. Ilikuwa tu nursery tu. Na tulikuwa tunafundishwa na Kijaluo. So we were just being taught in Kijaluo, mathematics in Kijaluo. I knew the math table in 1 times 2, mpaka 1 times 12. Ama 12 times 12. I knew all that table in Dholuo. And math was not a problem for me. Sasa kutoka hapo my dad akasema, huyu kijana sitaki akae nyumbani. Akaamua niende nikae na yeye Kampala. I think Kampala started from my dad. So my son has also decided to stay in Kampala. But my dad akasema kuja Kampala. So when I went to Kampala, they were confused which class to take me to. Because I had everything in mathematics. Addition, multiplication, subtraction, division, yote. Lakini ikifika kwa Kiingereza, ilikuwa kizungumkuti. Like those days they would say dictation. Alafu wanaweka dictation 10 words. I'll get 1 out of 10. Ni kama it's a word that sounds like English in Dholuo.
Yeah.
That one I'll get. But when it came to words like knife, hata nikapewa kitabu, read this one now. Nikaangalia kitabu nikasema, naona kitu ni kisu, lakini mimi I would read it knife. So the headmaster was confused. Where do we put this guy? Where do we put this boy? And I was tiny because my other name was Oyund. Oyund is what? Honest man. Yes, that is the name he had given me. Where do we put this Oyund? So finally, they decided I should go to standard 3. I don't know how long I'd been in the nursery school, but I started school in standard 3. So after 1 year again, after 2 years, Amit became very rowdy in Kampala. My dad decided, wewe rudi nyumbani, wacha mimi ningangane peke yangu. So I left, came back, and I finished my primary school in a school called Ugula in Marachi. When I finished, the day of the results, I went to see my results. I was the top of the class. And then as I was celebrating and I was going home, I passed through a market, a shop. And there was somebody who was trying to describe. Have you seen somebody trying to describe somebody he doesn't know? He was trying to describe the top student to the shopkeeper. And I was in the shop. And he didn't know who he was. He didn't know me. He was getting the description from somebody and they had passed on that description. I learned something from there, that you don't call yourself a Christian if you just have the definition of Christ from somebody else. You have to have that definition of Christ firsthand for you to be that. So from there, watu wakaitwa shule, mimi nikabaki. I was wondering what happened. Barua yangu haikuji. Kumbe, what happened is when we were choosing schools, the headmaster had decided that I should go to a national school. So he chose a national school for me. Those days, alikuwa amesema, nobody chooses a national school. Mwanzie kwa provincial schools. So he chose a national school for me, and I didn't know. The barua ikakuja, and we had only one post office in the village. It belonged to a man who was working with the Department of Agriculture. And those days, they used to wear some browns. We used to call them jamba in my native language, with big pockets. So this man used to, akifungua sanduku yake ya posta, yuakti ukwala. Akifungua, anaweka mabarua hapo, akikuja anaweka hiyo nguo hapo na anasahau. So my letter was forgotten in his pocket. And I went to school for the first time. I don't know whether it can happen today, but I went to school without a calling letter. Mimi nilipata barua yangu ya invite me to Form 1 when I came home for first term holidays. That is when now I was getting the original letter, because he found it na akaleta nyumbani. So from Form 1 nikamaliza hivyo, and I think the rest is history. My first degree nikafanya University of Nairobi, Bachelor of Architecture. The second one, I wanted something that was relevant to what I had done in the first degree. Nikafanya Master of Business Administration, specializing in project management. That is now when I started finding a lot of difficulties, because now we had to do accounts and accounting, and it was not part of my because we were taught how to communicate it by drawing lines, but now I have to draw cash. I have to have a cash book and I have to balance it. I have to do what those balances were very difficult. Mpaka there's a boy who was from my village and he told me, "Mzee, hii kitu tunaweza kupita." Nikamwambia acha tutapita. Then instead he brought a shortcut. Akasema There's a guy here who has got the exams. Anataka 10,000. So please, if you can raise 10,000, mimi sina pesa, lakini if you can raise 10,000, hii kitu tutapita. I told him, just a moment. I know I'm very strong in this subject, but I want to go and sit there and make sure that whatever I get has come from me. In the evening, he told me, he called and said, actually, I got the paper. Can I send you? I told him, did you hear me in the morning? Say, okay, fine. He got the paper, he did the whatever. The following day, at around this time, around 4, he called me and he was crying. 10,000 in the end, the paper he was given had nothing to do with the paper that was being done. Finally, he repeated that unit. Me, I got my minimum marks, but I passed. And I knew it came from mine. So that is one area which you can say integrity. So from MBA, ndio nikaanza kuitwa kuja. And I registered for PhD, again in project management. So now I can say that I'm a philosopher. But I want to take this opportunity to thank these people who are seated here, even with their brother who is not here. They made a lot of contribution. They may just see that it was just ati nilitai papa nikatuma ama niliweka hiyo list. They made a lot of sacrifice and they made a lot of contribution. And for her, she made a lot of pushing. She's a pusher. And even this celebration may not have taken place if it was not for her pushing. Because I can confess to you that when I got my Bachelor of Architecture, I did not celebrate. When I got my MBA, that one I was living alone. Because that day we had lost an in-law. Her uncle had passed away and she had to go for the burial of the uncle. So now I was wondering, do I go for the burial or do I go for the graduation? So we decided, let's split, and we never had an opportunity like this. And that's why I want to say all this is actually her effort, and she has made this happen today. And I just want to be grateful to this family for the effort and for the way they have lifted and kept me on my toes. And for each one of you, I know you have also made your contribution. I remember we were in a meeting, tulikuwa kwa mkutano ingine, when I called and I was told that, Mr. Owoko, the external examiner alikuwa amepeana results yako. But there's one examiner who has not given those results. And then in that meeting, we prayed. I think you were there. We prayed. And after praying, the following week, wakati nilipiga simu nikaambiwa ya kwamba the university has taken all the lecturers who are still holding scripts ya wanafunzi warudishe. And within that month, I was told to go and defend. So you all participated, and I'm very, very grateful to all of you, to each one of you. And specifically to the master of ceremony, he was actually there on the day I was vibrating. My hands was tetemekering. You know, this thing is very interesting because the defense was online. And we agreed with the university that we will have a trial run at 9 because the actual was taking place at 10. And at 9 we did a trial run and everything went smooth. Kila kitu ilienda nywe. Na wakasema sawa, we are okay. Now let's wait for the examiners. At 10, when they called me to log in, things went the opposite direction. And Juang was around, not just to give you moral support, but he assisted much in making sure that we were able to connect and the system ran, and I was able to defend successfully. So I want to thank each one of you for the little or the much or the volume of participation you did. I'm eternally grateful to each one of you. I don't want to be the hindrance between you and lunch. I can already smell the pilau. So I don't want to be the hindrance between you and lunch. And therefore, I just want to take this opportunity to thank each one of you for turning in and for making this occasion the way it is and what it is. May God richly bless you. Thank you so much. I know the vote of thanks will be said later on, but I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Asanteni sana.